They told me the graveyard shift at Miller's funeral home would be easy money. Watch the security monitors, sign for deliveries, and keep an eye on the bodies, they joked. It was supposed to be nothing more than boredom and coffee until dawn. The first night I noticed how the cold crept under the doors, how the silence wasn't truly silent. The pipes ticked and popped, and sometimes I heard what sounded like breathing, slow and ragged, in the corners of the embalming room. I told myself it was the old HVAC system rattling through the building's bones. On the monitors, the camera in the viewing room flickered at 2:13. I saw a shape moving between the pews, pausing by the casket we had prepared for a young man who died in a car accident. I checked the log, no scheduled visitors. I leaned closer, squinting at the screen, but the image blurred, static crawling like ants across the feed. When it cleared, the casket was open. I hadn't opened it. If it was open before, I would have seen it when I made my rounds. The thought of someone inside, sitting up in the darkness, made my skin prickle. I forced myself to check. My footsteps echoed on the tile as I unlocked the viewing room. It was empty. The casket was closed, the air heavy with the scent of lilies and the cloying chemical sweetness of embalming fluid. When I returned to the office, the monitor was still flickering, and this time there was a figure standing next to the casket, a thin man with dark, hollow eyes, staring directly into the camera. His mouth moved as if whispering, though I heard nothing. I turned off the monitor, refusing to look again. The second night, I brought coffee so strong it tasted like battery acid, determined to stay awake. At 1:47 a.m., the power died. The lights snapped off with a pop, leaving me in darkness so complete it felt alive. I used my phone flashlight to navigate the hallways. I passed the prep room, and in the thin beam of light I saw handprints on the inside of the freezer door, mirrored across the fogged glass as if someone had been trying to push it open. I heard scratching from inside. Slow, deliberate, then a single dull thud. I backed away, stumbling over a mop bucket, the water sloshing over my shoes, the cold seeping into my socks. When the lights came back on, the handprints were gone. On the third night, a crash echoed from the viewing room. I ran to it through the hall, stretching far too long, the air thick with the smell of rotting bodies. The door was iron, and inside a casket was on the floor, the lid cracked, and inside a young man's body twisted, mouth open in a silent scream. His eyes were open, cloudy but focused, looking at me. I couldn't move. The lights flickered, and in that strobing flash, I saw other figures standing behind him. Bodies we had buried over the past few weeks, their faces pale and bloated, their mouths gaping. I ran, slamming the door shut behind me, but whispers seeped through the cracks like cold mist. I pressed my ear against the door, trying to hear the words, "Join us." They said it together, a chorus of voices speaking from dead throats. In the office, I grabbed my keys, ready to leave, but the monitor flickered on, showing me the front entrance. A woman stood there, her face hidden by her long hair, her white dress soaked in blood that dripped onto the floor. She lifted her head, and I saw that her eyes were sewn shut. She raised one hand, pointing directly at the camera, at me. I turned, and she was standing in the doorway of the office, dripping water and blood onto the floor, her hair moving as if in water, though there was no breeze. "It's time," she whispered. I backed into the corner, clutching my keys so tightly they cut into my palm. The woman stepped closer, and the air grew cold enough that frost formed on the glass of the monitors. "Your shift is over," she whispered, reaching for me with fingers that were bloated and blue. I closed my eyes as her cold hand touched my cheek. When I opened them, I was sitting at the desk, the clock reading 6:00 a.m., the morning sun bleeding through the blinds. The monitors were off, the room silent, everything as it should be. I tried to stand, but my legs wouldn't move. I looked down and saw that my reflection in the dark screen of the monitor wasn't moving with me. It was smiling, and as I sat there, unable to leave, unable to scream, I saw the new night shift arrive, whistling as he entered, ready to take over for me. But I was still here. The graveyard shift never really ends, not when the dead remember your name, and they remember mine.
Like and subscribe to Scary Tales Story for more horror tales that will haunt your dreams and keep you checking the shadows.